I think I know what to do with this jumbled situation between women's bantamweight and women's featherweight. What up, Fightful fam, and welcome to your Fightful Fix UFC Fight Island 4 edition. We're going to take a look at Holly Holm's one-sided bullying of Germaine Aldana, Germaine De Randamie choking out Juliana Pena, the return of Carlos Condit, and more. But before we get to the video, if you could please hit the like button, tap subscribe, and the notification bell. It goes such a long way to helping the channel grow, and we really do appreciate it. First up, how can we not talk about the main event? The preacher's daughter showed up to Fight Island like a woman possessed. She not only beat Germaine Aldana, but she put forward what I think is her most impressive performance in recent memory. It wasn't a knockout head kick of Ronda Rousey, but she was aggressive, she put on the pace, she landed combinations, flurries, and it looked like she was really looking for the knockout, not just by waiting for an opening with her very technical, high-quality counter-striking, but actually pushing forward, making this a hard, gritty fight. She landed takedowns, she threw head kicks, spinning kicks, all manners of strikes, and she really looked like she was there to get a win. I'll say, Holly Holm makes for some great highlight reels, but as someone with a short attention span, her high IQ, counter-striking, movement-based fighting has never been my favorite, but this kind of Holly Holm, this version of Holly Holm, I would pay to see each and every week. So shout out to Holly for impressing me, not that I deserve any of your attention. So where does Holly Holm go from here? Well, it's kind of the same position she's always been. Perennial #1 contender, can't beat the champ sort of situation. I don't think she should get another fight with Amanda Nunes, and the whole matchup at women's bantamweight right now is kind of interesting because you had Holly Holm versus Germaine Aldana, and then you had Germaine De Randamie versus Juliana Pena. The way I talked to James Lynch about it on episode 3 of 1-2 Punch. Please go check out the podcast. It's a work in progress, but I'm really excited for where we can take it. And what we're kind of discussing is that in some ways that was a little bit of a mini tournament. If Germaine Aldana won, I think it's clear to everyone that she was up next for women's bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes. If Holly Holm won, I think you were going to have to go to the co-main event. Should Julia Pena beat Germaine De Randamie, well then Pena's a fresh face coming off of a win against the former champ, and you could slot her there against Amanda Nunes. But Pena lost, so now you've got Holly Holm and Germaine De Randamie. They fought each other, if I'm not mistaken, for the inaugural women's featherweight title. Germaine De Randamie won that in a fight littered with after the bell shots. She should have probably been deducted a point, and that should have either been a draw or a fight in Holly Holm's favor. But, the past is the past, and what can we do about it? Since then, Germaine De Randamie went on a tear, knocked out Aspen Ladd, put forward what I thought was Amanda Nunes' toughest fight to date outside of Valentina Shevchenko. And this is just kind of the place these two women are at. Holly Holm and Germaine De Randamie are, without a doubt, clearly the two best in the division, but both fall short of Amanda Nunes. So what do you kind of do here? I think if you want to give Amanda Nunes a fresh face at bantamweight, Caitlin Vieira, ranked #7, is the one that makes the most sense, but she's just coming off of a unanimous decision win against Sijara Eubanks, and I think it's too soon to put someone of her potential in a fight with Amanda Nunes right now. I'd rather see her fight a top 5 opponent. I'm not actually all that opposed to Germaine De Randamie getting the next title shot, and I know that's going to get some groans from people, but I think she was actually relatively competitive with Amanda Nunes, outstruck her, put forth a lot of pressure, succumbed to a lot of takedowns and some really easy ones. It seems like she shored up a lot of her grappling faults against Juliana Pena. Pena tried on several occasions to take down De Randamie and failed to do so. And it was a weird thing because you went into that fight thinking it's going to be GDR the striker versus Pena the grappler. After it was clear that Pena was going to have trouble getting De Randamie to the ground, Pena relied on some looping strikes, caught De Randamie quite a few times. It was in the second round that Pena got top control, did a good job maintaining it, but then was swept, almost got hit with a Von Flue choke, almost got hit with an arm triangle, and was saved by the bell. In round 3, Pena shot for another takedown. Germaine De Randamie caught a high-angle guillotine and choked Pena unconscious. So I gotta say, I think De Randamie put forward a more impressive performance than Holly Holm did. I think I know what to do with this jumbled situation between women's bantamweight and women's featherweight. Amanda Nunes is going to defend against Megan Anderson at featherweight at the end of the year, so it's going to take a little bit of time until she's ready to defend the bantamweight belt. What you do, Holly Holm versus Germaine De Randamie, the rematch, we see which of those women is truly in a position to fight Amanda Nunes again. I know both are rematches that people aren't keen on, but this is what happens when you have, women's bantamweight's pretty good. Let me not call it a shallow division, but a place where you have a dominant champion, a couple very, very clear contenders, and then the rest of the division is just sort of starting to develop and mature. I think it's a really bad idea to put Caitlin Vieira in there right now. It's way too soon. You're going to stunt her potential. Holly Holm, Germaine De Randamie, give that person a title shot. Give Caitlin Vieira a top 5 person, and hey, maybe by the time this all resolves itself, Vieira will have fought a top 5 person and could be slotted against Amanda Nunes next. Okay, that was a lot of time spent on the main and co-main. Let's very quickly give a shout out to Carlos Felipe, who beat Yorgan De Castro by unanimous decision and is quickly emerging as one of the better personalities in MMA. He was so funny. He brought that sort of Nick Diaz pressure, stalked and slapped, pointing to the center of the octagon. When De Castro regulated himself to just kind of holding Felipe against the fence, he would slap him on the ass. He would repeat the corner's advice to De Castro. It was like, shoot for a single leg, shoot for a single leg. Talk crap with the referee. It was really funny. He came off with the win. There's definitely going to be limitations for him. I wasn't super wowed by his performance, but he's got great combination, heart, forward pressure, loves to fight, and a winning personality. So shout out to Carlos Felipe. There's 2 other things I want to quickly touch on as we wrap up the video. First, Carlos Condit, the natural born killer, my all-time favorite fighter, wins his first fight in 5 years. Yes, back in 2015, he beat Thiago Alves. He lost the ultra-competitive, super fascinating, one of the greatest fights of all time against Robbie Lawler for the welterweight title, and then went on a horrible skid, winless up until now. He took a clear unanimous decision against Court McGee in the featured prelim fight. It was a good performance. I think we see sort of the level that Carlos Condit is at this stage of his career, and if he wants to keep fighting, hopefully UFC matchmakers have a better idea of what his limitations are and don't match him with like Hamza Chimaev, right? Like, I want to see Carlos Condit in fun fights. Matt Brown really wants that fight. Carlos Condit is down. They tried to make it a few years ago. I heard from a source that they were actually trying to plan it as Condit's next fight. For some reason, we ended up with Carlos Condit versus Court McGee. But if that is to happen, I think it is the perfect time to do Matt Brown versus Carlos Condit. I know they're both in the tail end of their careers. I know it's not the fight it would have been a few years ago, but these guys still want to scrap, and you got to give them something. So why not give them people of relative skill sets in the same stage of their careers and let them put on a fight for the fans? And finally, let's talk about tonight's performance of the night winners. The bonuses went to Germaine De Randamie, Kyler Phillips, Dusko, I'm going to butcher this, Todorovic, and Luigi Vendramini. These guys each won 50 grand. Well worth it, especially for the 3 younger guys. I love to see the 50K bonuses not just default to the biggest name on the card. I know that's something the UFC has a tendency to do, but come on, let's line the pockets of some of these young guys, and guess what? They're going to be motivated and hungry to keep putting on performances like that. I will say I was a little bummed there was no fight of the night bonus. The performance of the night bonuses were great choices, all valuable, but I think there were a couple of fights that should have gotten a fight of the night award. Charles Jourdain and Josh Culibao fought to a split draw. It was an ultra exciting fight. Culibao nearly knocked out Jourdain in round 1, landed a tight choke. I think it was an anaconda or darce. I couldn't quite see the arm configuration. That was super tight. Jourdain roars back with his own submission attempts. It was such a competitive, high octane, constant in-your-face sort of fight that I think definitely deserved a rub. And if not that, Nassourdine Imavov versus Jordan Williams was a gritty battle. Williams took the first round. Imavov came back strong in the second and third. Jordan Williams was almost done several times in that fight, but somehow managed to hold on through grit and determination. I think it's a real shame that at least one of those 2 fights did not get the acknowledgement and the bonus that I feel they deserved. And that is all for today's Fightful Fix. Let me know in the comments section, who do you think should fight Amanda Nunes next for the women's bantamweight title? Is it Holly Holm? Is it Germaine De Randamie? Or is it someone else entirely? Plus, what do you think about the bonuses? Should there have been a fight of the night? If you enjoyed this video, the best way you can help our channel grow, of course, hit subscribe and tap the notification bell. A like on this video never hurts either. We really do appreciate it. And until then, take care and keep up with us for everything Fightful and so delightful.